What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Set of Wild, episode 130, a regular YouTube video web series podcast thingy. My name is Meowth, and as usual, I'm joined by two good friends and co-hosts, Roffle and Corbett. Guys, we're almost done. Last card review episode of the season. How are you guys feeling?
Final stretch. It feels good. I'm, I guess, getting increasingly excited for the new expansion. We're a couple weeks out, and it'll be nice to have some new cards that will hopefully bring some changes to the format.
It kind of feels like everything's being put on pause. Like I'm just like not really thinking about streaming too much, not trying to think about current decks, just kind of like waiting it out. And I guess like when we get the revotes announcement, that's when everything kind of gets the green light.
Yeah, a little bit of that dead period, right, where we're still waiting for all the news to trickle in so that we can be fully excited, start the aircrafting, and be ready for April 11th, which is the day that this expansion will be coming out, which is pretty exciting. But yeah, we still have like 30 or 40 more cards to talk about. We've been talking for like hours and hours at this point about cards, and we're still not done. So let's talk about cards for a couple more. Let's dive into the last couple cards for Death Knight first. And let's start with Death Metal Knight. Great name for a 3-mana 3/4 undead, 2 blood runes for a taunt that says cost health instead of mana if your hero was healed this turn. So just kind of an important distinction, like vampiric blood won't trigger this because you technically aren't healing or gaining health, if that makes sense. You do have to see, a red number going back up is kind of the gist for this. But it's very, like, I don't even know the name of Death Knight card still. The 5-mana 4/5 that it dies and it costs mana or health instead of mana.
It's a 3/5, but yeah, it's, whatever the Sourfang is
that one.
His name. Yeah, kind of reminiscent of that, but like less consistent, and it doesn't have the recursive nature of Sourfang, which is kind of what makes it at all appealing. So I love everything about this card: the name, the art, the theme. Just not sure it's very good.
I mean, it's a bigger taunted happy ghoul. Like that's how I'm thinking about the card. I mean, it's pretty good. Like if you can find a way to make it tempo effective. The problem is it's just that sort of difficulty, right? Like how do you make an aggro blood Death Knight deck? Well, I mean, the fact that you do have Happy Ghoul is kind of nice because it means there's like redundancy there. We get a few like wild exclusive cards that kind of help this a lot. Like Cheaty Ankle Biter is obviously very, very good with this. But it's probably just not quite enough. It would be really good if there was like heavy draw in that archetype, because then maybe you could do things like play Harmonic Metal, give like effectively give your hand +8/+8, and then play them all down on one big turn, big swing. But we don't really have the cards to make that work just yet, I don't think. But I mean, this card can cost 0 mana. I'm always impressed by cards that can cost 0 mana in the future.
Yeah, there's just no real like big flesh giant type payoff for it, like that type of play, right? Like you need to a 3/4, even a 4/5, or I guess it would be a 5/6 for free. It's pretty good. But like if it gets cleared, you're kind of in a bad spot, and like you spent a lot of cards to get set up and then you have no like follow up to it is the concern.
Yeah, maybe Arcanite Ripper can be the flesh giant. Like how many cheaty ankle biters do we need to make this work? Yeah, if you play 2 of them, you can get this to like a 6/6 kind of thing on like turn 4.
That's fair.
Almost. Yeah. But yeah, probably not enough. It's like Heal Zoo, but without life tap.
Right. and the without life tap is a pretty big hamstring, right?
Yeah, big also no Cobalt Librarian and no Tour Guide. It's a big qualifier there, but
yeah.
But yeah, like you said, the things that cost 0 mana are interesting, and so like something, at least if it's not good now, something to keep on the shelf or potentially in the future.
So
all right,
I guess the last thing I'll say is that yes, it costs 0 mana, but you also have to pay a card most of the time in order to get this online, right? So you're still paying a card to activate this, I guess is why I'm not so high on it.
But like you get another thing for free alongside that card. Yeah, I don't know. All right, the last Death Knight card here is Hardcore Cultist. 3 mana, 2/1 undead, 1 frost rune, Battle Cry, deal 2 damage. Finale to all enemies. It's really bad when it's not finale'd. When it is finale'd, it's a 3 mana consecration, which I guess is just normal consecration, but
On a body.
On a body.
on a body, undead body.
One singular frost rune is, I think, potentially a big facet of this. Like the Rainbow Death Knight, if the cinematic necrotic explosion is worthwhile, you need to like fill out that deck somehow. And a card like this that is kind of a toolkit card on, and potentially just like a fairly strong on curve card if you get behind, which that deck doesn't want to do. Is pretty good. I think this is the type of effect that you probably want to see on a finale card, right? Like, it's not great to play on its own, but it's a pretty big payoff if you get it active. But like, it's not an effect where it matters what portion of the turn that you played in. A lot of the finale cards that we were low on last week were like finale, draw an extra card or draw cards, and this is more of an effect that feels good to play on a finale, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's good, but unless they're pushing towards Reno, Rainbow, Death Knight, I'm kind of struggling to see like where it's gonna fit.
Oh, that's exactly where I was going to put it.
Oh, okay.
I like that deck was just kind of fine. If you play a low enough curve in a Death Knight, basically you just do all the undead stuff, low curve, and then you just kind of get them with a Zephrys eventually, is what I've experienced with it. So
Yeah, a game plan as old as Wild itself. Just Zephrys them. It'll always get you there.
Well,
yeah.
it's basically just like a different version of Reno Hunter.
Yeah, but it's in Death Knight, which makes it cooler, maybe. Even if it is worse. All right, let's move into Demon Hunter here. We got 2 more cards to talk about. Starting with Taste of Chaos. 1 mana Fel spell, deal 2 damage to a minion. Finale, discover a Fel spell. So 1 mana deal 2 that discovers you a Fel spell that you can't play this turn.
Yeah, I mean, but like 1 mana deal 2 is okay. I don't know. I love Jace decks. I want them to be good. I don't know if this is the card that's like going to be great in that, especially in Wild as the pool of Fel spells increases. Like there was a period where maybe you could make a strong argument for this just because like there weren't that many Fel spells, which was its own problem because there weren't that many Fel spells for Jace. Now there's a few more Fel spells, and some of them are kind of bad, like the demon summoning ones. You don't want to find those in a Jace deck. So probably maybe just starting to become a little bit too unreliable in that type of deck in our format.
Yeah, I don't love this. I don't like that it only hits minions, and I don't like that it has finale. And the discover pool isn't that hot, like for Fel spells in general. So pretty low on this one, I think.
Yeah, I would have been a lot higher if it had the ability to like hit face, because then it gets a lot better off of Jace. All right, the other Demon Hunter card here is Guitar Soloist. So this is kind of like the next in line of all those soloist, themed cards. 5 mana 4/3 Battle Cry. If you control no other minions, draw a spell, a minion, and a weapon. So if you can activate this, it is a 5 mana 4/3 that draws you 3 cards, and it's like specific cards, right? So you can tutor specific things if you need to.
Here's my concern. If your best case scenario, you playing this on curve and it's active, right? That means it's turn 5 and you don't have minions on the board and you just played a 4/3. How are you winning that game of Hearthstone?
I'm thinking really hard. Maybe you're in like a heavy spell that's running Inhalation Aura and Chaos Novas, and then your board's always clear.
Right, yeah. And in that case, you probably would either be better off developing onto the board if if that's your game plan, or just using the abundance of Demon Hunter draw available to it at a low cost is, I think, where I would aim for.
Yeah. Yeah, not very good, I don't think. Yeah, pretty much because of what Roffle said, right? Like, if you're ahead, you can't play this, and if you're behind, you don't want to play this.
It's
So,
really five mana is a lot of mana.
yeah.
For a 4/3.
I think all of these soloist minions are gonna have the same issue though, where they're just like,
I
Bad.
mean, the one of the closer ones maybe is the opera soloist, just because at least it like solves the problem of you being behind on board. So like it plays into like its own strategy, whereas this it's like you're behind. Well, now you're further behind, but you have more cards in hand.
yeah, more cards in hand to stare at while you die. Let's go to
Exactly.
Druid. Let's talk about Harmonic Mood. It's a 2-mana spell. No nature tag attached to this one, but give your hero +2 attack this turn, gain 4 armor, and it swaps to basically giving your hero +4 attack and gaining 2 armor. Okay, so some like questline druids, synergy there. Is obviously you probably are playing this in your questline druid. Are you playing this anywhere else?
No, but like I started becoming more of a believer in Corb's like Miracle Questline Druid when I saw this card as well, because it feels like it's maybe missing a few more lower cost attack. This basically just replaces Barrel Rage in that deck, right? And then you're just like, cool. Now I have a card that does like a portion of both sides of Feral Rage for 1 less mana. So lucky me. Yeah, that deck could be a potential thing with some of the support that we've seen, and like everybody's looking at the minions, but I'm like, in addition to the minions, I'm looking at the Harmonic Mood and the Spread the Word as really like the things that carry that deck.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a 1-card quest completion, but like the first stage, right? You just go 1-2, bam, done. That's pretty crazy. It's very close to being able to summon down Crypt Keeper, but it's 1 armor short with that curve, so that's kind of fortunate, because otherwise you'd be seeing maybe a bit of questline mood, double Crypt Keeper. But yeah,
I think there's probably an argument to just shove in the Crypt Keepers anyway, just because like you get the armor from the questline progress as it stands.
Definitely.
So like,
yeah, no, definitely play it. I was thinking about specifically like turn 2 getting it down.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, really good in that deck. So,
I feel like that's very intentional, by the way, so that you can't just go turn 2.
I feel like it's not. I feel like it's
No.
not intentional at all, and they have no thought about the quest line now that's gone.
Right, the questline is rotating, Mouth. What are you talking about?
Well, speaking of, that's very weird that they rotated the questline and then printed all of this. So, yeah.
Well, it's more like these cards were being held back
Right.
because of the quest line.
Right.
All right, sure.
I think that was intentional. Waiting to print these until the quest line was gone was intentional.
That's fair. All right. And last but not least for Druid, we have Rhythm and Roots, which is a 4-mana nature spell. Choose one secretly. Summon 3 5/5 ancients in 2 turns, or 3 8/8 giants in 4 turns. That is a long time in order to get stats that don't have taunt or battle cries or rush or yeah.
You know what it does do though? Gets you mostly done on your Jungle Giants quest.
True. But you know what also does that? Oaken summons into the 5/1.
Or Oaken summons into Scourge Rager. I think they fixed that interaction now.
Oh, did they actually? Nice.
Be okay, I think.
No.
It's very slow, but it's a lot of
Well,
it's a 4-mana 15/15 dormant for 2 turns.
Yeah. Would you play that card?
I don't know.
I don't think I would. I don't know.
Like the
That's
5/5s don't
Dormant.
have taunt. Drew doesn't have any way to
Dormant
give them
hurts
rush unless you're like playing
so
broomstick.
Yeah. Dormant hurts a lot. Like it's effectively dormant for 3 turns because they can't attack the turn that they're summoned anyway, right?
You do have Drum Circle, maybe you can beef them all up, give them taunt and stuff.
I'm double checking what.
Okay,
Drum Circle
so
is.
you're playing now. You're switching quests. You're going to the choose one quest, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I had in mind for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so your idea is Rhythm and Roots, and then in 3 turns you summon 3 8/8 giants, and you give them +2/+4 in taunt, and that's gonna be good enough. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
sure.
Somehow you haven't died in the process.
I mean, you're a
Yeah,
druid.
Sure. Don't
You
worry,
can
I have 10 mana. There's no way I die. I have infinite mana. Wait, this takes up board slots as well from my scale and my flipper friends. Oh god.
Yeah, there's
clicking.
no world in which this is good.
Slowly but surely clicking. Yeah.
Look, man, I just wanted to awaken a whole bunch of ancients and play Lothab and just like, win like that. But maybe not.
Somebody misses Darkglare too much.
Yeah.
You know?
Lothab doesn't stop Snowfall Guardian, Flurgle Tox, or Druid's responses because the other Druids already have 20 mana. What are you doing?
All right, let's move into Hunter. Let's start with Thorn Mantle Musician. 1 mana, 1/3 Quillbore. Finale. The next beast you summon gets +1/+1. I mean, you're not putting this in Beast Druid, but are we doing like Scavenger's Ingenuity into Wolpertinger? Are we just playing this in Hunter in that deck? Like, is there a Menagerie Hunter? Like, it's a 1/3 with upside.
There could be with some of the more, like, again, the mech beasts make that a little bit tempting, as well as Mistake. And even just like in an aggressive Reno Hunter shell, this might be worth a look if you're running enough beasts, because like I imagine it has to carry over from turn to turn, right? Because it's it's a finale effect, so it can't require you to do it this turn. So like just getting this down on 1 is pretty good. 1/3 stat line, not bad. If for some reason you're running that 7-drop, the 1 Amalgam Band, it kind of is probably your best bet as a Quillbore for that type of strategy. So, yeah, reasonable card. Pretty good card. Just like awkward to find a home in Wild, I think.
Yeah, it can be a Menagerie Hunter, I think. Will it be as good as pure Beast Hunter? Unsure, but you do have like the mechs, the Beast, the Amalgams, Quillbore.
Naga.
You have party animal as well now, so like that's a
Right.
beast that works quite well with a lot of this stuff. And I mean, you could play the 7 mana amalgam card, like get that down for 5 or for harpoon gun, sure, why not? So in Menagerie Beast Hunter, like maybe, and if there's like a more pure face hunter as well, like Meow's talking about the Wolpertinger Scavenger Ingenuity, because obviously with Wolper it doubles up, so that's really cool. There's also a few cute other things where it works on your Wild Spirit cards. It'll work on like a minion summon from Kolka Pack Runner. All of a sudden that little 2/2 goes rushing in instead. So I don't know. There's a few like cute little things like that. I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah, doesn't pop off the page, right? But I do think it has a home, even in our format. The other Hunter card probably doesn't, though. Harmonica Soloist. 3 mana, 4/2. Battlecry. If you control no other minions, discover and cast a secret. I'm thinking about this as like a really, really bad Kirin Tor for Hunter. And like Kirin Tor isn't good enough in Wild anymore. And this means that you can't have other minions, like no Met Scientist. I don't know. I'm struggling. I'm trying.
Yeah, the sad thing is this is probably another one of the better soloists. It's just like you really do not want to be playing a card from behind in our format right now. And that's what the soloists do.
Bad.
Cool. Thank you for your expert feedback, Corb. Thank you. That's why we have you on. All right. Last week, we talked about Mage, and we talked about how the 2 legendaries weren't exciting for us. And the rest of the 8 cards were going to have to carry their weight. Synthesize. 1 mana spell. Add a random 1, 2, and 3 cost elemental to your hand.
Yeah.
Hand mage. Like.
Okay. Yeah, but is that worth, like, you want to run so few spells in that deck, is that?
Yeah, it's like just this,
worse?
just book and conj. That's it.
Yeah. The problem is that when you don't hit the conj off of your spell tutors, like, you kind of just lose the game. So, like, it's a tough call. I think that I don't even know if this makes the cut in that deck, but that's probably the closest, because you don't ever want to play random low cost elementals because they are garbage.
Yeah. I don't know. I do hear the argument for like wanting to tutor specifically those spells, but I don't know. Like you play with someone, all of a sudden you're looking at like turn 3 Mountain Giant like pretty often. Like
yeah. the thing is that Mountain Giants aren't terribly, having played that deck quite a bit, Mountain Giants are terribly exciting in that deck because they receive the conj a lot worse than a null. Like, and they just kind of die. If you spend all your mana playing a giant, either they die or you do most of the time.
And it's like diluting the chances that you have that conj to go with your 3-mana giant. So
yeah.
All right. I mean, good shot on the hand mage. I didn't see it, but
it's probably the closest place that this card is to playable. Maybe the only place this is even a conversation because the card is just horrendously bad.
What about in hand mage with elemental allies as well? Because you're already playing like the 2-mana cyclone card. I know it increases the spell pool a lot.
You would probably just have to cut book at that point.
Yeah. But then if you cut, is that better than book? Probably not. But like, you might be able to draw. Yeah, I mean, you can draw all your spells out at once. Probably not, but
I mean, it's interesting.
Hold on, does Elemental Allies specifically draw spells?
It does, yeah.
It draws 2 spells too, right?
3, I think.
Okay, then that may actually be something, because that would more reliably get you the book, or not the book, the conj than the book does, and it avoids the interference the book runs in that situation. So that could be something. You run Fireflies and the 2-mana elemental, and you're just fine with the elemental allies. Yeah, that could be worth a look.
All right, you can tell Cor's been in the kitchen, right? He's been cooking up hand mage. Came out here ready to defend it. All right, I mean, fair shouts. I was very quick to dismiss this card, but lots of potential, I guess, specifically in hand mage, even if it means like changing the build of the deck. Just a little bit. I mean, hey, look, it's better than what I was giving it credit for.
Oh, it enables odd hand mage. Oh wait, we don't. Wait, they just never revert null. It's fine. It's fine. I was gonna say, yeah, it's fine. 11 mana null.
Yeah, you don't want them to revert null for hand mage, but instead we get even lock killed. All right, hold on, Corb. Too much time in the kitchen.
I overcooked.
He cooked too long. He burned it.
All right, let's move on to the weapon here. Cosmic Keyboard. 2 mana 0/3. After you cast a spell, summon an elemental with stats equal to its cost. Excuse me. So I think you're looking at stuff that's, big spells, because you don't really want to summon 1/1s and 2/2s and stuff. But then, I don't know. You've got the other weapon, right?
I would have liked this a lot in like Spell Mage before they gutted that deck completely with Flow, because with things like Flow, that way you're not falling behind a board. Spring Water, Spring Water's really good with this. But yeah, don't know.
The problem with all of those situations, though, is we're both like Spell Mage and Big Spell Mage. Like, you want to be casting your spells at a reduced cost, right? Which decreases the stats that you get off of this.
In the early game, they're not like, if you're going like Cosmic into like, if you're like to like Intellect, Spring.
I guess
Water,
it turns every spell that you cast into like a mini version of a Pexus Blast, essentially.
Yeah, like the upside. Like, you don't even have to hit big spells, really, right? No. Like, if you hit, like, a 2/2 and a 3/3, like, that's pretty okay for, like, a 2-mana weapon. Like, it's a little slow, but... And if you get bigger stuff than that, if you get, like, a 4/4, then that's pretty nice. But, yeah, difficult to see that deck working without Flow. And then, I don't know where the hell else it goes. Like, it did cross my mind, like, do we play this in Secret Mage? Because just to get 3/3s, like, 3 times, but it's like, no, it doesn't make any sense.
You're getting 0/0s.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Ideally, you're getting 0/0s, yeah. I'm not super high on this.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next card that I did see a couple people freaking out about, and that is Rewind. So this is a 2-mana arcane spell. Discover a copy of another spell you've cast this game. So people are, freaking out. You got Ice Block, you got Solid Alibis, and now you have Ice Block's copies 5 and 6. You can never kill the mage, is what people are thinking, at least on Reddit. So are you guys kind of in agreement?
I mean, it's probably a good card in those decks, right? Like, it's reasonable Quest Mage card. It's kind of expensive for what it's doing though. Like that's kind of the big issue. Like, can you spend 5 mana on an ice block in modern Quest Mage? And even then, sometimes not an ice block because you're gonna whiff sometimes. I think people are too focused in on like the best case scenario and not thinking about, well, what's the typical situation? You cast a lot of first flames, you cast a lot of second flames, you cast a lot of Ray of Frost, you cast a lot of like coins. Which honestly a coin isn't that bad to recast. I don't know. I don't think this is going to break the deck. Maybe you can live in a world where it's a little bit more reliable than an ETC for getting your Potion Evolutions back or something like that, where it's just kind of a helpful toolkit card, but I don't think it solves the main problem that Quest Mage has right now, which is it's just like it's inconsistent when it even does its best thing, right? Because like Ramnath can kill himself or you, and then like it doesn't matter how many ice blocks you have if you just, take a random point of damage to the face after you're popped at 1.
I found the mage set like this card and another one we'll get to like very interesting to try and deck build around. Like this is we're getting kind of close to a turtle mage situation. It feels like where we just have enough looping and things of ice blocks and novas and potion of illusions and things like that. I'm not really worried about this card that much in Quest Mage or anything like that. I am thinking if they revert Drekthar, this card could be very, very strong in APM Mage with the new Apprentice. Because, it's 0 mana to discover. You can bring back things like Volume Up. You could bring back things like Conjure Mana Biscuit. So it's effectively just like another way to, get 2 more mana back, which is huge. So yeah, like I think this could be quite good in the right fit. It's just right now I don't think the tools are just there. But interesting card I'd like to build around, and it'll probably lead to something very, very, very degenerate at some point in Wild, I think.
Yeah, just maybe not on day 1.
Maybe
that's
not on day
actually,
1. Yeah.
Like, is there a world where you can just play like a Ramnath Mage with Ice Block, Frost Nova, and Potion Evolution as your spells, and then just loop? You don't even loop extra turns. You just loop Ramnaths repeatedly with the rewinds.
Yeah, like with this and Volume Up as well, right? Like you get to discover another block or something, and it's just crazy. Like you can get to the situation where you can just block every turn from like turns 4 through 9.
Right.
All right. So what I'm hearing,
really cool. It's a hostage mage. Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah. I mean, you said turtle mage right at the beginning of that conversation. That's basically what that is.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that everybody's going to be justified in their playing, Eater of Secrets in their decks, so that they can beat the infinite ice blocks. Yeah. No. We can't ever be mad. No.
No, don't worry about it. They're running Eater of Secrets inside of their ETC already, so they're prepared.
True. All right, let's talk about a mage mech. Though I don't think you're playing it in Mech Mage, and that is Audio Splitter, 3 mana 4/3 mech Death Rattle. Copy the highest cost spell in your hand. Okay, I said that. Do you play this in Mech Mage to copy like your Seafloor Gateways and or Book of Specters? It's really slow.
It is slow. It's slow in any deck because it's a Death Rattle, and Death Rattle is not Battle Cry, which is an important distinction. I think it's probably just a card you're fine discovering, but I don't know if you want to run it main deck.
Yeah, I don't know. I was also thinking about running Frozen Touch in Mech Mage as like the 5th and 6th spell, and getting another copy of that could be kind of big. Like that's a lot of reach,
especially an infused version.
Yeah, exactly, like an infused version for sure. Like that, and that's just banking 12 damage. But probably not. Like something that if you discover, like you said, then it's probably like a high roll in situations where it's good. But most of the time in Mech Mage, you probably don't have any spells in your hand in the first place.
Yeah. Or you like want to play those spells immediately if you're trying to Mecha Shark people. So yeah.
I figure I should just mention Audio Splitter can copy Potion of Illusion, so that can be a better way to loop the potion for ETC instead of running ETC and Quest Mage.
Why not both? Make it easier, faster, more consistent.
I mean, it's just mana investment, I guess. Yeah, but I guess you could do both.
Yeah, I don't know. My concern would be like the fragility of Death Rattle on the board, but
Yeah.
I mean, you already have the fragility of like hand disruption with ETC, so it's not that much different. Both are awkward.
I'm kind of getting the vibe. We keep mentioning this card, Potion of Illusion. Card might be dumb. That's what I'm getting to here.
Yeah, and they reprinted it in Rogue for 3 mana, Meowth. It's the same card,
God,
but better.
freaking power creep, man. Rogue always gets things that are just better than every other class. All right, let's move on to Holo Technician. 3 mana, 3/4. After any minion takes exactly 1 damage, destroy it. After any minion, that includes your own. I don't even I don't know what we're supposed to do with this. I guess like this plus Shooting Star, Arcane Missiles, Arcane Explosion.
Yeah, no, this plus Arcane Explosion I've read are the mage version of Flurgle. They're exactly the same.
That is a take. Mm-hmm.
Except for the part where you can't tutor them, it costs 2 more mana, and comes out 2 turns later. So yeah,
And the opponent
right.
counter swings instantly.
Right, except for all of the things that make Flurgle good, it's the mage version of Flurgle. Like 2 card. We have 2 card full clears, right? Like they exist. They have existed before Flurgle. They weren't good before Flurgle because you couldn't draw them like you can off of Ice Fishing or Gurlock Ravager with Flurgle. So, like the tutor is a big component for why Flurgle is what it is.
I don't know, Roffle. Bad control mage cards. This does sound like the mage version of shaman stuff.
Yeah, and Ramath is just like a bad version of Shudderwalk, right?
Yeah, kinda.
We're getting shots in all over the place here.
But yeah, this is really bad. Really bad, like really bad. I think I've seen even in standard people kind of like look at this and see a lot of potential, but the ability for the counter swing is just so terrible for you. Like
right, like
sucks.
Yeah. What if the opponent just has a ping hero power or something along those lines, like, or a source of 1 damage? Like, you played yourself. Congrats. Like, Flurgle Tox doesn't give the opponent's minions poisonous as well, or on the follow or the backswing. So.
Why
it's kind of funny comparing this to the Hunter Legendary, the 7 mana one. What was Acid Maw?
Yeah, the poisonous one.
Yeah.
All right, that was from like a different era of Hearthstone. That's not a fair comparison. I'm very confused as to why this says like any minion. Like, why does it say any? Is it just like the flavor, or is there like a balance reason?
Well, yeah, the flavor in that it has to be a trash card like a Holomancer was. So,
unfortunately, Holo Technician does suck. But let's talk about Lightshow, 3-mana arcane spell. Shoot 2 beams at enemies that deal 2 damage. Shoot 1 more for each Lightshow you've cast this game. Okay, so this has to be a card that you are copying and casting multiple times for it to be a good card, right? Because I'm assuming the shooting of beams at enemies is random, even though it doesn't say it on the card, because they don't have the space. Yeah, I mean, so you're playing like a dedicated copying Lightshow Mage, right? And I mean, we've seen a couple cards, right? You've seen Audio Splitter and Rewind. Like,
it's a standard card. It's a standard card.
The scaling of this type is just way too slow for me.
All right. Next up, we have Keyboard Soloist, 4-mana, 2/4 Naga. Battlecry. If you control no other minions, summon 2 1/2 amps with spell damage. So, empty board, you get a 4-mana 4/8 and +2 spell damage. But then, you're having to do this on turn 5 or turn 6 to immediately take advantage of that spell damage, unless you have like Mana Biscuit. I don't know. It is 2 spell damage. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. But
I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. It's Mage, man. I'm trying.
The amps are mechs, so it's Menagerie Mage. Boom, solved it.
Boom. There you go. Naga and mechs on the same card coexisting.
I know.
All right. You guys want to talk about probably the most exciting one? This is like the one playable mage card. Yeah. Let's talk about Volume Up. It is a 4-mana arcane spell. Draw 3 spells. Finale, discover a copy of one. So 4-mana Sprint the Tutors? Where have we seen that before? Had to get it in once. But it is, in theory, a 4-mana draw 4. Regardless of where you're kind of fitting this in, that is a very powerful effect.
Yeah. It's a matter of can you survive long enough to like make it to whatever you're building towards. And if your spells are only like Ice Block, Potion, and Freeze effects, then yeah, maybe. And if you're repeating Ice Blocks as a result, so yeah, you have 4 spells total, including the rewinds, and I don't know. I'm gonna be trolling people with like Turtle Mage come expansion. I think is what we're learning from this conversation.
Yeah, Turtle Mage, that's a thing. But what if I had a different degenerate Solitaire Mage deck for you guys with this card? All right, let me walk you through this. I don't know. See, here's what we do. We play this in Ignite Mage because you tutor all your pieces. You get to discover a copy of Elemental Evocation, and all of a sudden, you're getting down Apprentice. You're getting that hot streak. You're playing the Molten. You're playing Evo. You're playing the Chandler. When it was discounted because of Kindling Elemental on turn 1, and away we go. Turn 5 OTK. Woo!
I thought I was going to make fun of you for saying APM Mage, and then you said that, and now I just want to kick you off the podcast again. I feel like you keep doing things like this.
Ignite Mage is back.
He's asking for it at this point.
You can even put in, like, 1 Conj Mana Biscuit, so that way when you pop off with your APM Mage turn, you can, like, get all the mana back. Like, you can just play 1. So, because you can discover a copy of the Conj. So it's like you get to play with 4 extra mana. So you can do that, or the Evocation. Yeah, Ignite Mage. It's back. Turn 5 OTKs. Great. Also, we have the 8/8 tradable card now, so sometimes when the opponent tries to disrupt you and rat you, they actually get the 8/8 down instead. You guys seem thrilled.
We are looking for a new host for the podcast, by the way, just in case anybody's interested. Leave your application down below the stream. God, Core, please. Why do you ruin things for us?
Yeah, so that's the main application that I saw for this one.
I hate you. Yeah, okay, well...
Let's move on to Paladin.
Yeah, let's...
We'll never let this see the light of day.
I'm gonna edit this out of the podcast so hard. All right, let's talk about Disco Maul. 2-mana 2/2 weapon, death rattle. Give a random friendly minion +1/+1. Play minions while equipped to improve. So play minions, not summon. And what it's going to be doing is increasing the amount of stats that you give one friendly minion. So like questline paladin, where you play a ton of 1-drops. Like you can give one of those 1-drops like +6/+6 real quick. But like I'm not a big fan of it in like even paladin because summoning doesn't trigger it or anything like that. So like the questline's the only thing I could really think about, but the questline's really bad, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw like a lot of people freaking out. I think because like early screenshots showed it at +3/+3, and people maybe thought that was like the default or the starting point, and people were like, "Oh my god, it's better than it's like just strictly better Woodcutter's Axe," and it's like, let's pump the brakes on that a little bit. I know the warrior memes are hot right now, but this doesn't seem very good, does it? Like, because it's play and not summon?
Yeah, I don't love it in like the most traditional like aggro Call to Arms paladin. Like, am I playing this over sword? Like, no, I don't think so. I just don't really love it in that deck. mech paladin because you get to play it on 2 and then maybe vomit out like 6 or 7 mechs and then give a minion +7 +7 or +8 +8.
Yeah, it's just like it does kind
That's
of feel bad to run not mechs in your mech paladin
Yeah.
with the way that radar detector looks. Another thing I was thinking about is like a bridge cute paladin type thing where you run a bunch of 0 mana stuff with like bridge and a variety of other things to buff them up.
Yeah, what if there's like a divine favor aggro paladin
Right.
where you just play them all? Yeah, you play them all early, like on turn 2. You spend the next like 3 turns just vomiting, shitting out minions, and then all of a sudden it becomes like +13/13, like on a charge minion or something.
Yeah, even something with like the Call Giants could like be kind of concerning with this, but that all seems. It seems like you're taking a bad deck and building it around a bad card, which doesn't often have the best success rate, right? You kind of want things to be independently good, and none of those things really are.
I'm just thinking about like how I wish this was like summon minions.
No, I don't think you do. I think that would be gross with all the arms.
Even paladin
All the
dude.
arms would
Ooh.
be nasty.
That would just
Exactly.
be repulsive. Nobody needs that or wants that.
Look, paladin needs love. All right. Boogie down. 3 mana holy spell. Summon 2 1-cost minions from your deck. Finale, give them taunt. This is the weakest call to arms I've ever seen in my life. Like, this is like the opposite direction of call to arms was Omega busted, and they're like, all right, let's try to make a fair call to arms, and they made this really, really bad card instead.
Yeah, if they wanted it to be call to arms, they should have just made it 2 mana.
What if it was like Finale, like give them divine shield, you know?
Yeah.
But
I don't know, like what like it does let you build heavily towards the 1-cost cards that are good off call and boogie down. So like it does let you play injured Kavada or whatever the 2 for. But even that's like not even that good. like even if you hit it with the boogie down, it's not doesn't even do that much.
Yeah, that happening on turn 3 is not
like
yeah.
Sure.
All right. Let's move on to Harmonic and Dissident Disco. These are 5 mana holy spells. So Harmonic Disco is 5 mana. Discover a 5-cost minion, summon it with +1/+1, and the Dissident is summon a 1-cost minion and give it +5/+5. I think Corb's reaction tells you exactly what we all think about this. So let's just go ahead and talk about Priest. All right, so let's talk about Love Everlasting. This is a 3 mana holy spell. Your first spell each turn costs 2 less. Lasts until you don't play a spell on your turn. Hey guys, you know what deck never wants to play a minion ever? Everybody loves it. Everybody knows it. It's the favorite, Big Priest.
Yeah.
This card just seems straight up really good in that deck.
Yeah.
Really, really broken in Big Priest. Like really broken.
Yeah. You also have Shadow Visions in Big Priest.
Yeah.
And I imagine these probably stack.
I don't think they do, apparently.
I have heard confirmation that they do not stack.
Well, that's good at least.
I mean, is it though? Like you're still like getting turn 4 essence so consistently now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's better than 2 mana essence. Yeah, like it could be worse.
Yeah, or like 2 mana, like Spellstone, which like the deck just gets even more mana cheap. It's already kind of passing the first 3 turns anyway, so this has the potential to just be better on curve than palm reading, which is ridiculous to even consider because it could get you the essence a turn faster.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sure Reddit's gonna love that. I
mean, that said, is this deck going to turn Big Priest into like a meta tyrant?
No.
Probably not. So. But
it's because like it's the matchups that are hurting Big Priest right now. Like this will move it a few percentage points, right? Because it will be able to get online, occasionally a turn quicker, which will be fast enough to, win some unfavorable matchups that it's currently just getting stomped with. But I like it's struggling so much right now that I don't know that like a singular card alone will like completely, flip the
Save
switch
it.
for the deck. It's that said, we just don't need to make the deck better. Like it doesn't need to be better. Nobody wants it to be better.
I was about to say, I agree with everything you're saying about like its win rate and everything. That was never
Right,
the thing people had
no.
issue with in Big Priest.
No,
it was the
well-
really feels bad moments of turn 3,
Right.
turn 2 Essence, and just immediately
but
lose the game.
those feel bad moments like inflate people's perception of how strong the deck actually is, and like making it stronger is only going to further do that. And we just don't need to make the deck stronger. It shouldn't be as strong as it is right now, to be honest with you, regardless of its win rate. Like it just doesn't need to exist in its current form.
Yeah, I mean we're all in kind of unison. How about that spell inner fire deck with Wave of Apathy, Potion Evolution? Would that run something like this?
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
It's another deck we really love.
Right. I think it like the more spells you're playing per turn, the worse this becomes. The fewer spells that you're playing, like where you really want it to excel is hitting honestly a Shadow Essence or like a Mass Res or a Spellstone is really like the perfect targets for this type of thing. Even like an Eternal Servitude, like all of those are just exactly what you want. Whereas with something like the spell Inner Fire, where you have a handful of spells, you tend to be better off reducing cost with Palm Reading and Radiant. Now that said, like the deck could still just want it to, like it still eventually cheats 2 mana, but like I don't know, like you're kind of hand limited more than in those early turns than you are mana limited.
There could be a way to make Reno Priest much more spell heavy than what we've recently seen, but I doubt it's really worth reworking the entire deck to build around just this because it's a legendary, right? It's like hard to justify that.
It's also a
but yeah,
horde.
like yeah, you'd have to like drop the shadow and stuff. But it's pretty good with even more proactive secrets like identity theft. Things like that is still really good, not just purely the defensive stuff. But probably realistically in Wild, probably just Big Priest. And it's gonna be really gross. So
It is.
yeah.
I hate it already.
Something to be excited about. All right.
Oh,
Next-
I do like that we get to call the deck though now. We get to call it Love Big Priest.
I'm clipping that. Corb just said love
the
Big
name.
Priest.
The
and
name
I'll
of the
tweet that
deck.
No, we will use it out of context. Corb loves Big Priest. All right. Let's talk about Shadow Core Distort. 3 mana shadow spell. Give a minion -5/-5. If it has 0 attack, destroy it. Like, is there a world where we ever want this over something like Shadow Word Death or the Light It Burns or things like that? Like, does this have use?
I can't think of any words. Like, I don't know. It feels deals with a 4/4, like, or a 4/5. Finally, Priest can kill a Yeti. I feel like the thing the Priest is hurting for is not efficient removal in our format.
I can see it in Reno Shadow. Like it's very flexible removal, which is like the big thing, right? It's a Shadow of Death or a Shadow of Pain, up until a point, up to a point. So that's always nice. I can definitely see it in Reno Shadow.
You know what's funny though? It's like never gonna kill a thing from blow, because it always gets buffed by the Strength Totem, and so then this won't kill it. And then, yeah. Wait, it would kill it, right? Because it would go to 0 health.
No, 0. Oh,
Well, if it has 0 health, it dies.
Yeah.
I know how to read cards. All right.
No, but it would also be a 7/5. Is it what's the stat line on Anchor? I can't remember how it buffs things.
I was just thinking about like a 5/5 that got buffed from Strength Totem, but yeah, when it gets
Strength Totem. Oh, okay, yeah.
When it gets buffed
Yeah,
off
so
the
it's so
Totem.
flexible, like as a removal piece. So I like it. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, it's 3 mana. It's a lot of mana.
And 3 entire mana.
Yeah.
Really good in
Alright.
that Big Priest deck. Maybe no, I don't know.
Ooh.
Yeah, you could kill your own minions and then you summon them back at full stats.
There you go.
All right, let's talk about Hysteria 2.0. Fight Over Me. 4 mana shadow spell. Choose 2 enemy minions. They fight. add copies of any that die to your hand. So I mean, it's obviously worse than Hysteria, right? Because it clears potentially less minions than Hysteria, but you get the upside of like adding cards to your hand, so like free value, and I know people love that.
I mean, you say it's worse than Hysteria. To me, it looks exactly the same as Hysteria, if not better, because in my experience, Hysteria means that the minion crashes into exactly the one minion on my side of the board that kills, and they both die, and like nothing actually happens. So there are situations where it is actually it is better than Hysteria, or at least more consistent than Hysteria. What I see this as is a way to get Shudderwalk in Priest, and that's what I want. I don't care about anything else. In the past, I had to rely on like spamming Benedictus to try and hope that the Shudderwalk was still in their deck. Now this is much easier.
And you get to get your own Flurgle Toxfin and stuff.
Oh, that's actually kind of gross.
Oh wait. Oh no. Yeah. You just ping the Flurgle first. There you go. I don't know. It's fine. Like,
yeah, it's just kind of fine. I
don't know if it's playable or not.
I mean, I think it's worse than Hysteria and Mass Hysteria when it comes to like actually killing things. It's like you really need the value or want the value in order to play this, and I don't know how badly Priest needs that. And so, yeah.
No, it's a fun card though.
Okay.
Because you can get Shudderwalk.
God, Roffle only wants one thing. It's disgusting. It's just Shudderwalk and Priest. Okay. Harmonic Pop, Dissonant Pop, 6 mana Holy Spell, 6 mana, deal 3 to all minions, summon a 6/6, or deal 6 to all minions, summon a 3/3. Are we kind of off this one too, or I mean 6 mana 6/6, leave behind a body.
I feel like it's pretty good in like a questline Reno Priest, isn't it? Probably better than like a Dragonfire Potion or a Light Bomb in a lot of cases. Now that said, it's probably not how you want to build Reno Priest for the most part, so it's got that going against it, but it's an okay card. Just like, again, Priest doesn't need more removal. It has Mass Hysteria, has Hysteria.
Comes down for 4 mana after your Love Everlasting in Big Priest.
But then you get a minion that you don't want, right?
We don't care about the res pool. Yeah, come on. What are you talking about?
I mean, we're still stuck in Big Priest mindset of 4 years ago. Come on.
In actuality, how much does modern Big Priest really care about its res pool? Like,
you don't
like
run any random res effects.
No.
People in my chat obsess over it, and I'm just like, what are you talking? The game's over when they summon the Neptulon. What does it matter? The res effects are just there for flavor.
Yeah.
I'm just messing usually, but it is pretty funny that people still have that mindset of like Big Priest from like 6 or 7 years ago. All right, let's move into Rogue. Let's talk about Mixtape. 1 mana spell. Discover a copy of a card your opponent played this game. That sounds like a Burgle card. I think that sounds like a Roffle card.
That sounds like a way to get a Shudderwalk in your test room. I mean, ignore the part where you've already lost the game because the opponent played a Shudderwalk. But, yeah.
You know what? Like I said, it's disgusting. Ruffle only wants one thing, and that's a Shudderwalk in other decks.
I think it's funny. Yeah, Rogue's telling on itself. The Mixtape is not a fire spell, so.
Oof. All right. I think exactly. Tells you all you need to know about Mixtape.
It's just a better hallucinate.
That's right. True.
It's the bar is very low.
Yeah.
The bar is so low.
Give me something here.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about some shaman cards. So we had 3 cards that we hadn't talked about so far. Melomania. This is a 0 mana epic spell. Each time you play a minion this turn, add a random shaman spell to your hand. So if you guys remember OG Hagatha Hero, that's what this is, like her passive hero power. Just like better lock and load, I think, maybe. Not really. But it's not really a card I think we want in decks.
I don't know if either of you have played Hagatha recently.
I didn't
No.
have to. I just clicked on the shaman page and looked at the amount of 0 mana and 1 mana spells, and I was like, nope, I don't want any of these.
There are real big stinky shaman spells that you just cannot play in some instances at all. Like they are unplayable cards because they have requirements on them. So it's no, you don't want that.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about another unplayable card. Saxophone Soloist. 1 mana, 1/2 Murloc. If you control no other minions, add a Saxophone Soloist to your hand. Dude, that's infinite value. As long as you're doing literally nothing else with your deck.
I mean, it's a Firefly for Murloc Shaman.
So I don't think that's ever the issue with Murloc Shaman either, right? We got infinite 1 mana Murlocs.
No.
Yeah, Corpse Face says it all. All right, last but not least, Chill Vibes. 3 mana Frost Spell. Restore 8 health. So that could be any target. Finale, summon a 3/3 elemental with taunt. I know Corbin and I were talking in Twitch chat, but he thinks this is better than stuff like Healing Rain. Corb, you want to give your reasoning?
Yeah, I mean, it almost is the same as Healing Rain, where, you restore the health, but it's not bad in matchups where you're not getting hit in the head. Like if you're playing a slower matchup, you can actually just play the 3/3 and it's fine. So most of the time it's going to be comparable in the aggro matchups, and against slower matchups it's way better.
Yeah, I mean, would you play a 3 mana 3/3 with Battlecry Heal 8?
I like 3 mana heal bot, yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's almost what it is. Obviously, it doesn't get repeated by the Shudder, but you shouldn't really care about that because Shudder ends the game. So it's kind of irrelevant. But yeah, if you're running a heal spell, it probably wants to be this one moving forward. Like I don't know that you want to be running a heal spell for the most part, but like if you are, probably this one.
Yeah, right. Whether it's like this in Shudder or Big Shaman, like just anything.
Yeah. I forget about Big Shaman sometimes.
Yeah, we all do.
Because I don't want to think about it after what we lived through before with Unnerf Lightning Bloom.
Yeah, I mean, I first of all, like, I guess 2 things. Like, do you care about nature over frost? Right. Like,
when was the last time you've seen a Primal Dungeoneer?
Right. I'm just saying. If that is a consideration. Also, why would you ever run healing in your aggro Murloc deck that kills people on turn 5 with Murlocs? So. I don't know why we want this.
I was a little confused where you were going with that one.
Yeah.
But,
all right.
so, yeah. The Scargill turn Roffle in Shadowwalk was the aggro.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, I thought that was a very easy, low-hanging one, but all right. Let's move into Warlock. Let's talk about kind of the one-off cards, and then we'll get into the kind of cycle of interesting things. So first of all, the weapon, False String Harp, 2 mana 0/3 weapon. Whenever your hero would take damage on your turn, restore 2 health instead, lose 1 durability. I've also, just kind of side tangent, I feel like we should also talk about kind of the big rule change that they announced was going to be going live with the new set. And so basically how it's going to be working is even if you're immune, right, with Void Virtuoso, Mal'Ganis, Violet Illusionist, things like that, if a card says pay life as part of its cost, right? So think about like Stealer of Souls. You still will lose the life, right? Because immunity will no longer block you from having to pay that life. And if you do not have enough life to pay, you cannot play that card. And so that logic will also apply to stuff like Anubra Khan. So Snip Snap Druid is now dead. It was never really alive, but it is also now dead. I guess that also died when they originally touched that. But that is kind of just like a big general rule that they are, passing. And so that might also be giving an indication of kind of what they're going to be doing to like Stealer Souls as well. Because I know we had talked about that with Void Virtuoso, but they made that big change. All right, side note over. Let's talk about False String Harp. This is the 2 mana weapon that heals you instead of damaging you whenever you would take damage.
Healing is for cowards. What does this card do?
Well, it heals you.
It heals for 12, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 2 mana heal 12 in Warlock. Sometimes more if you're going to play Raise Dead and not Life Tap.
Yeah, but is that worth a card that blocks you from playing Rune Mithril Rod?
Oh, well, it's probably more like Even Lock is what people are looking at, I assume.
Okay. And How much do Flesh Giants cost now? Are they playable in Even Luck again?
No, they cost 10.
Well,
So yes, they technically are playable, but no, they're not
Wait.
playable.
right.
Wait, what's the text on there? You still. Yeah, like this doesn't help Flesh Giant, right? Because you.
Well,
Just don't
no.
make
Oh,
damage.
right. It's still. Yeah, it's still the same amount of life change. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I like it though, just because it makes it a lot harder for you to do your Molten Giant stuff.
Right. Like,
Is
yeah,
my main
even
issue.
I think especially in Even Lock, healing is absolutely for cowards. I don't think you want any amount of healing other than Drain Soul. Like, you just want to rush down the Molten Giants win you the game. Like, I don't know why you would want to like heal in that context, because that turns off the cards that win you the game. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are rating those pretty highly, or that I've seen, and am I missing something? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, in Evenlock as well, preventing damage is sometimes worse than like restoring health, like in one big burst, right? Because you go down to 10, and then like restore, then that's good. But like stopping yourself from getting to 10 in the first place is kind of a bit. Wait, it's just worse. So maybe in Reno, even Warlock, like, which is probably less dependent on the Molten Giant stuff, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are tunneling in on the fact that it is a 2-mana, 12 health swing, which is like,
Yeah.
in theory, it's a lot. It's just like the decks that people are talking about it in aren't decks that want the 12 health swing, really, right? At least in increments, like Corp
It's
was talking about.
also, yeah, 12 health, but like not at once. You're still dead to burst, right? Like, it's over 3 turns that you're getting that 12 health swing, potentially more.
Yeah.
Is that really going to keep you alive?
I mean, there's no like really huge self damage that this can prevent, really. Like Blood Bloom, Doom. Like,
Backfire is the biggest, or is one of the bigger ones, even.
yeah, Chittering Tunneler. I bet some of you guys
Wait,
forgot
Sea
that
Devil
card
Giga?
existed.
The
Yeah, Sea
rules
Devil
change,
Giga.
dog. No,
I
Oh,
mean,
the
that's how
rules
Blood Bloom works, though, right? Like, it wouldn't stop Blood Bloom then. You use that as
Right.
an example.
Oh,
So,
wait. Oh,
Yeah, the rules change prevent a lot of the big things that you can do. Which even with the big things that you can do, I don't. Even if you could play this Stinger Giga, you're still playing this. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's so low tempo that, like, man, the payoff is so slow to get online. It just feels like, I don't know. He only knows for cowards.
all right, let's move on from our coward talk, and let's talk about Demonic Dynamics. Love the name. Don't love the card because it's a 3-mana fell spell. Discover 2 demons. Finale, give them +1/+2. I don't think we need to go on our usual spiel of discovering random cards. And,
No, it's standard card.
yeah. All right. Dirge of Despair. 6-mana shadow spell. 6 mana, deal 3 damage to a character. If that kills it, summon a demon from your deck. It has very much possessed lackey vibes of like recruit a demon from your deck, sort of thing. And it kind of makes sense because they rotated like Mal'Ganis and Dreadlord and Voidcaller into standard, and so it very much feels to me like possessed lackey. Possessed lackey for standard though, because possessed lackey is not a playable card in wild, and so
No. Yeah, it is possessed lackey. That's a really good comparison, and it's just because it's possessed lackey, it's probably not. Like, it's maybe a little bit better because it has like a little bit of a board swingy potential, but it's a little bit harder to set up at the same time. So,
all right, let's talk about the big splashy spell. Let's talk about Symphony of Sins. So this is the legendary warlock spell. 6 mana. Discover and play a movement. Shuffle the other 6 into your deck. So it's a 6-mana spell. You're going to get 3 options out of the 7. And I'm going to run through what the options are going to be really quick. So you have Movement of Envy. This is remove the top 6 cards from your opponent's deck. Movement of Pride. Draw your highest cost minion. Reduce its cost by 6. Movement of Wrath. Deal 6 damage to all characters. That includes yourself. Movement of Desire. Lifesteal. Deal 6 damage to the enemy hero. Movement of Gluttony. Give a random minion in your hand, deck, and battlefield +6/+6. Movement of Greed, draw 6 cards. And then Movement of Sloth, summon a 6/6 demon with Taunt and Reborn. So you're going to get 3 of the 7 options. You're going to pick one of them. It's going to happen. The other 6 are going to get shoveled into your deck as 3 mana spells. So that you can like draw into them and play them, still get the effects. So there are a couple in there that are kind of splashy, right? Like 3 mana draw 6 and 3 mana +18/+18 of stats and things like that. It's a very splashy spell, but I'm going to be very hesitant in saying that I'm excited, because the last time I said I was excited for a splashy Warlock spell, it ended up being Deck of Chaos. So I'm going to let you guys go first, and I'll add on at the end.
I'm glad you mentioned Deck of Chaos so that I didn't have to. But the thing is, I don't think you and Corb, if it does end up flopping as much as Deck of Chaos did, I don't think you and Corb will be the only ones that are getting baited by it, is the good thing. Yes, the 3 mana that you're paying for the like follow-up movements is very good, but the fact that you have to pay 6 mana for the first one is very bad. So that's my biggest concern. I don't think that this is a wild playable card, but I'm going to play it. Like regardless, like yeah, I'm going to throw this in as many decks as I possibly can because it looks fun. But like some of them just outright kind of don't do anything. Like Movement of Envy, removing the top 6 cards of your opponent's deck doesn't do anything. Hitting your highest like cost card could be interesting if you're aware of what's left in your deck and you're reducing it by 6. That's one way you can make up for like the potential loss in tempo if you maybe have Reno as your most expensive card, or something along those lines. Like that, I see having potential, but some of the other ones, like, I don't know, dealing 6 to the opponent and healing for 6, is that going to make up for the fact that you just spent 6 mana on shuffling things into your deck?
I kind of like it in Arena Lock, actually.
I think
I'm getting baited, but maybe.
The draw 6 is pretty appealing, right? Like, that said, you can't always pick that off of the, like, that's not one that you pick off rip, right? Because you probably already have a pretty full hand.
Yeah. Yeah, like Lock's curve is relatively low now. You can kind of like push it down in general. I don't know. I just like it in that deck. I think it makes sense. Like, you do have the AoE option. You do have like the taunt option and things like that. So hopefully you can find something where you're not super reliant on like having some massive board swing and then you create this like big tempo swing later, which is really good. I don't know. It just seems really solid to me in that deck. I would even look at it in like Wild Implock. I think it's actually not that far away from a deck like that, but like Wild Implock is probably just not very good anyway. So I think in standard, I think it'll be really good.
Even the AoE though really does kind of hurt though, because you're taking a fireball to the dome as well.
But so are they.
Yeah, but we have that card in Fellfire Potion, and there's a reason no one plays it.
But this is better because it deals 6 instead of 9. I will say, like, the 6 mana part is very overcosted. The 6/3 costs are very, very undercosted usually, and so like it is very much like a Deck of Chaos or like a Luna's Pocket Galaxy, where you kind of just have to eat the tempo loss, and it very much makes up for itself later. I'm gonna get baited. I love this card. Yeah, I'm not gonna say that it's good, but I like it.
I'm gonna be honest. We probably wouldn't even. This wouldn't be a discussion if it weren't in a class that had Life Tap as a hero power to draw towards like the other spells, right? Or to have a thin enough deck that you can count on drawing the spells pretty reliably. So like it wouldn't be a conversation in most other classes. But it probably is in Warlock at the very least. I don't know.
It's really good with Finley as well, because like you can play this on 6 and then you can Finley on 7. Then you very likely you're able to get like at least 2 of these back and play them on like for 3 each. So that's really nice.
Yeah.
I'm getting baited. I like the card. I'm not going to go as far as saying it's really good, but I do love the card.
Oh, I love the card too. Like there's no doubt about that. I'm going to play it regardless of how strong it is.
Yeah, the two Warlock legendaries are on like opposite ends of the spectrum for me. Like I absolutely hate Rin, but I absolutely love this one. So
I
hey,
love them
Roffle,
both.
different people have different tastes. You know, come on, come on.
No, I'm correct.
I can already tell, man, this is gonna have to be an instant golden craft.
Oh, I already said that live on stream. I was like, when I was looking through the new cards, I was like, first card I'm crafting golden of the new set. Absolutely. I mean, the rest of my Marina Lock deck is golden, so it has to fit in. All right, we kept putting these off. They printed like a very weird mechanic, I guess, for Warlock. It synergizes a little bit with the weapon, but basically they printed 3 cards that are going to say like take fatigue damage. So you'll take like a fatigue tick. So the first fatigue tick you'll take from one of these cards will deal 1. And then the second one will take 2, 3, and it'll scale the power of these cards when you play them. So let's start with Baritone Imp, which is the one that you're probably playing earlier in the game because it is a 2-mana 2/2 demon. Battlecry, take fatigue damage, gain that much attack and health. So the first one that you play is guaranteed to be at least a 3/3. The second one, a 4/4. I mean, just kind of on its own. Like, are you just playing this in like aggro Warlock decks? Because it's a 2-mana 3/3 and a 2-mana 4/4.
It's an imp as well.
Yeah.
Possibly.
No, I think if you're playing this, like this package is built for just aggro imp Warlock. Like, I think you play the full package if you're going to be playing it for sure.
Yeah. I mean, should we just talk about the full package then? Let's talk about all of them together.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other one is Crescendo. So this is a 3-mana fell spell. Take fatigue damage and deal that much damage to all enemies. So that's enemy board and enemy face. And then Crazed Conductor. 5-mana 4/5. Take fatigue damage. Summon that many 3/3 imps. So build your own board with a Crazed Conductor. All right, back to you, Corb.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're good implot cards, like, because you want them in a deck where you're being the aggressor, right? Where the damage doesn't like hurt you. Like, they're very, very tempo oriented. So they make sense in that. They work well with Void Virtuoso at the later stages to deny you from taking like 4, 5, 6 damage kind of thing. They're just solid. Like, they're all really nice. So I like them. I think they're going to be very strong in Standard. Wild, we don't really have Imp Warlock being a thing in this format, so I don't really say it. That said, I'm just gonna workshop a deck with Roffle right now. Roffle, here's an idea for you. You play like Void Virtuoso and Tamsin, like Little Tamsin. You play a whole bunch of imps. You play like Impending Catastrophe. You take like 1 billion fatigue damage, and then you kill the opponent with 30 Crescendo right to the head.
I love it. Because Crescendo to me looks like the real fun payoff for this, like especially in our format, right? Like Crazed Conductor is probably good for building a board in Standard, just another like refill mechanic. It's like Rafam in a situation where you don't really want to play Rafam, right? Like you want to use Rafam as kind of a arbor up, and this curves into Rafam nicely. So like probably a good card in Standard. Crescendo though is the one that really catches my eye. Like that's I think you read my mind, Corb.
Killing people with fatigue would be pretty hilarious with just 1 Crescendo or something. Would
Right.
be great.
Like you could even get like a Hemet in there as well, like to set up the turn before.
Yeah.
Okay, we're on to something here. Or at least you are. You've got this.
I would also just like to remind people that the Demon Seed is getting unbanned in a week and a half. So like maybe there's some stuff that we can do with that, because like that fatigue damage is technically gonna, if they keep it the same, count towards your quest line.
Imp Demon Seed Warlock?
Yeah, doesn't that just kind of like, yeah, I guess it's just another way to
Complete
like
quest
get
with
more
tempo.
damage to yourself, right? Like while developing on board, it's kind of like a pseudo crystallizer or kobold type thing that it makes it a little bit harder to just like die to the opponent's board.
Yeah. So
Could be
I don't
worth a
know.
look.
I do like this mechanic. I think it's pretty sweet. And like Warlock's the king of like big tempo for like the trade off. Right.
It's very Warlocky, and it feels cool as a theme. I hope they expand on it. Because other than Crescendo, like I'm not super excited to play the other two, so I'm just kind of playing the other two in order to like make a cool crescendo, which is fitting for the card's name.
All right. So we move on from cool cards to Warrior. Sorry, we got to keep the memes going for the rest of the expansion season. So last time we talked about Rifts. So let's talk about kind of the other big thing that they were pushing for Warrior this set, and that is the Menagerie stuff. So let's start with a legendary Rockmaster Voon. So this is a 4-mana 4/3, just like the original Voon. Battlecry, copy a minion of each minion type in your hand. So instead of just copying dragons, you get to copy a bunch of amalgams and stuff. And I think even if you're playing Menagerie Warrior, he's not cool in your deck. It's
no,
because that's a tempo deck, and Voon is the opposite of tempo.
Exactly.
Yep. All right, let's talk about a bad Menagerie card in Drum Soloist, which is a 5-mana 5/5 dragon with taunt. Battlecry, if you control no other minions, gain +2/+2 and rush. 7/7 with taunt and rush. I know we wanted more dragons for Warrior, but I don't know that I wanted this one. This one doesn't feel very good.
Super good in the original Quest Warrior.
Is it even that good in that deck?
No, not really. I mean, it's a 5-mana 7/7 taunt with rush. Like, it's playable. Playable in the original Quest Warrior.
That's even stretching it.
Maybe in Journey to Ungoro, this would be bonkers.
Oh, broken in that era. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
we are not in that era any longer.
Miss those days. All right, let's talk about two of the payoffs, though. We have Power Sliders. So this is a 3-mana 1/2 with Rush. Battlecry, gain +1/+1 for each minion type you've played this game. Unfortunately, it does not have a tribe itself, which is a little bit weird for your Menagerie deck. And so even if it's going to be like a 3-mana 4/5, 3-mana 5/6, like it's not really going to synergize with some of the other cards, but it is still like a 3-mana 4/5, 3-mana 5/6 rush in your deck potentially.
No, I don't like it at all. Oh, Roffle, you cook. I heard that like positivity in your voice, lad.
I don't. I feel like I feel like people aren't giving this card a very fair shake. It would be nice if it had a minion type. I think it should. That would probably make it a little bit more playable. I see people like, I don't know, comparing this directly to the Rogue version, which makes sense. They're pretty similar cards. The fact that the Rogue one has combo itself is not insignificant, right? Like you can't just necessarily shove it on curve. This is a little bit easier to play and get active. So like, yeah, maybe that's worth losing a stat, but like the fact that it doesn't scale itself or the second copy does feel a little bit worse. I think this is probably a pretty good standard card, to be honest with you. Like I think that the amalgam deck is probably going to be good in standard. People are just like too fixated on warrior equals bad to like bother looking at that. And I could see this card being an important component of that deck having some amount of success.
Yeah, I like it a lot more in standard for sure. In wild specifically, I think like the big issue is how it clashes with Baton. Just because like, you know, if you spend your early turns like playing cash or just playing Baton, swinging, you want to be playing the Baton payoffs. Like that's your thing that you're going to be doing. You're not going to be playing like 3-mana 4/5 like for on turn 5 or something. You need to be doing much better stuff than that. So yeah, this doesn't really make sense. Like, it also clashes with like Crier getting the dragon and things like that. So
right, they just aren't those types of payoffs in standard though. So like
yeah, because there is no Baton.
Right,
like there's not
like,
as much downside.
Baton and Tent Trasher are the reason to play Menagerie in Wild. Those cards aren't standard legal, so you need some sort of payoff, and like a 7-mana card can't be it. So this is your secondary payoff, I feel like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I will say I am just like rereading this. Does it count like the patches that you summon from your deck?
Played, not summoned.
All right. I am completely off this card then because patches was like the demon that. All right. Anyways, we're off Power Slider. All right. Let's talk about like the good card for the Menagerie Warrior. Just draw patch. You told me to just draw patches, please.
Yeah.
All right. How about I draw this card instead? Let's talk about Roaring Applause. This is kind of like the big payoff for Menagerie Warrior in this set, especially for Wild. 2-mana draw card. Repeat for each minion type you control. So no, this does not go infinite if you have an amalgam on the board. But this is very easily like a impending catastrophe kind of comparison, right? An impending catastrophe was like one of the reasons you wanted to play Imp Block. This is going to be one of your big payoffs for playing Menagerie Warrior. It does also just draw a card kind of baseline as well, which is good for you in case everything is going to hell and you have no minions on board. But I could very easily see you play this on like turn 2, turn 3, and just like you're happy drawing like 3 or 4 cards.
I mean, 2 mana draw 2 is already like a high quality card, right? So you don't need a whole lot to make this good, and it can very quickly become, very good, like an impending catastrophe. It's probably it's a little bit clunkier than an impending catastrophe, so I don't think it's like directly comparable because like imps are the cards that you have in Imp Warlock. And here you might have like overlap between your beasts or your pirates in particular. But yeah, like this is good. Keeps your hand full for the baton turns, which if you've played Menagerie Warrior recently, like that can be a problem. Like you just kind of have nothing to buff if you have a baton, and this kind of solves that problem. So yeah, I think this is a high quality card and possibly one of the better things Warrior has available to it in Wild going forward, which is sad because it's probably not like super strong.
Yeah, it's I think it's quite a bit weaker than Impending. Just because Impending is usually like giving like a lot of +1 bodies for mana costs. So like, you get 2 bodies for 1 or 4 bodies for 3, whereas the Menagerie minions that you're going to be summoning are probably like including a lot of like 2 mana stuff, 3 mana like just heavier. I think it's worse than it looks. Like Battle Rage in a Rage Warrior is not that hot because most of the time you're kind of just wanting to be developing tempo, and then like you're so busy developing tempo that if the board goes away, then this just doesn't really do very much. Like there's kind of a bit of a conflict between, like pushing out all your threats and then having nothing left, like if things get removed. That's why like Light of the Phoenix or whatever it's called, which can come down for 0, is so much better in my opinion. So yeah, it's not. I don't think it's great, but it'll be played in that deck, and the deck probably won't be very good. And yeah, that's where I'm at with this. Like, yeah,
taking the good vibes about Menagerie Warrior and just throwing them right back in the trash. But
it's worse. It's just like worse than Impending. Like
I mean, that's not like a fair comparison though, because Impending was like Omega busted, right? So like,
I don't think it's that. Like, I don't think Impending is a mega busted. Like, I think
Really?
Impending is a solid card, like good card, and this is like quite a bit worse than that. So I'm kind of like, I don't know.
I mean, like you said, I do think you have to play it because that deck does need the draw. I'll be happy with it just because the deck got something and there's like a playable card. But yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Like I know it's worse than Impending, but it'll be played. I'll have fun with it. Menagerie Warrior will be slightly better, but yeah. All right, let's talk about Razorfin Rockstar. It's a 1 mana 1/3 Quillbore. After you gain armor, gain 2 more. So no Twitter people. This does not just go infinite with itself, like I heard some of you saying. Guys, the devs aren't that dumb.
Oh my god, we overlooked it. We didn't. Oh, we forgot that it could go infinite with itself.
We didn't play the card a singular time.
Oh gosh, but this can do some dumb stuff with like Risky Skipper and Armorsmith, right? That's what you're looking to do with this. Have kind of like a swing turn where you gain 50, 60 armor.
Yep.
Like that's not an exaggeration. That's like probably a thing that you're going to be doing pretty regularly. The thing is like, what are you then doing with that 50 or 60 armor, right?
Bladed Gauntlet and a Mayor Noggin.
I absolutely knew that's where we were going with this.
Damn it, every time, Roffle.
I will say I think this is just like worse than something like Eternium Rover if you're just like playing this for tempo, but I could also just see this like in an Odd Warrior, it turns your hero power into gaining 6 and things like that. I don't know, how excited are we about this card?
I like gaining armor. but I also like having a way to win the game after I gain some armor. So that's the big concern, right? Like, what do you do? Then what? I don't know. Like, even in Odd Warrior, you can't run a armor smith, so I don't know.
We play this in Tony Warrior. That's what we do with it.
I want to run as few minions as possible so that I can just
your
get
two pirates are Risky Skippers and Tony.
Okay, so the I think you never played an Odd Warrior, like way worse than like a Tony and Rover in that deck.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it doesn't seem very great. The Skipper Smith thing. So it's kind of tricky. Wild's so fast right now that like if you're needing to save up for like Skipper, Smith, Rockstar, other minion, it's like we're already looking at like 6 mana, and you need to like you really want to be weaving in like a Battle Rage or something as well. It's like God, there's just like not enough mana cheating in this deck and this idea and this archetype to make it effective. So it is nice that we do have the Light of the Phoenix. God, I hope that's the card's name because I've quoted that twice now. That can draw cards for 0, but it's kind of tough with like Battle Rage. Not really, you know, but just being expensive. So I don't know. The armor gain is insane, but without the reload and things like that, it's difficult to see like how that deck can really function because it's still going to be so horrific in like all the slow matchups. So I don't know.
I mean, you're probably playing this in like Dead Man's Hand Warrior. Like I know you guys moved on it, but like the Tony Warrior, you're probably still gonna play that combo, maybe. But
yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like Dead Man's Hand is just that's just not a win condition.
Yeah, Dead Man's Hand is the Luna's Pocket Galaxy.
You guys just pissed off like all 15 Dead Man's Hand players.
They know. Look, I've accepted it. I know that.
I certainly hope they know at this point. And
you think they need to be told that Warrior's in a tough place? They know better than anyone right now. They're living through this shit, me out.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, we do still have one more. This is our savior. We saved the best for last. It is Kodo High Drum Kit. 4 mana, 3/2. Death Rattle. Deal 1 damage to all minions. Gain armor while equipped to improve. So this does not improve for like the amount of armor. It's for each instance of armor gain. I don't know how much that's going to matter, but I mean, you do your thing, and then they redevelop, and then you break your weapon, and you board clear again. And I'm trying.
I don't think this card's that bad. I think people are memeing on this one too much.
I think so too. I think this may be the best warrior card that came out of the set, or at least the best control warrior card that came out of the set, right? Like, I think this card is just kind of fine. But again, people are just like really into dunking on warrior right now. And it's because it's not a 2-mana Fiery War Axe. It's a weapon that nobody was ever going to accept. But I think it's pretty reasonable. Like, it doubles up with the Rockstar, right? So if you like hero power with the Rockstar, you get 2 ticks on the drum kit. It's a big board clear in a lot of contexts, and it's a fine card. It's just like Warrior still needs to win the game somehow.
I feel like I've been defending some of the other cards here. I'm really struggling to defend this one, right? Because you play this, you have to dodge all the weapon removal in the format, right? That people are packed. People are scared of Mind Rogue. People are playing. I have the amount of times that I got my Swordfish Viper on curve in a row. Okay, people are packing weapon hate. So you have
to be clear. I'm not suggesting this is a playable card in Wild.
All right. Well, then I'm not going to continue on this conversation. But, but yeah, I don't know. I am not high on it. I think I will agree. I think people are dunking on Warrior like they're just piling on for its playability in Standard. I think it'll actually be playable in Standard. I don't think any of these cards, except for maybe Roaring Applause, is like good enough for Wild. Right now, like I don't think the Rockstar Armor Smith Skipper stuff has the win condition to be a thing yet, right? I don't know, but
so the word "yet" destroyed me.
And then like, what else do we have?
Maybe you're sleeping on the black rock and roll Naga Mount a Molten Giant
the Molten Giant charge
angle.
deck.
Yeah,
I must be because, oof. But
I mean, it won't be good. But like that's
not going to stop Roffle from trying.
Right. It theoretically could be a playable card in Wild, which is like, more than what I'm getting out of a lot of these cards I'm looking at for Warrior this set.
That's
like it's. I think Warrior will. I'm in agreement with you. I think that people are memeing really hard, but I think Warrior will probably just be fine in Standard. It got a good core set. These cards are not good for Wild, though. Like, that's the reality of it. And that's kind of a bummer because Warrior is also hurting in Wild, in part because of some of the sins of the class in Standard. Like when it was, a year or so ago when it was dominating Standard, we lost a lot of cool and interesting cards in Wild, and unfortunately, we also lost the Pirate questline.
Good and the bad. Yeah. Not telling you which one's which. No. I think I totally agree. I think Warrior will be probably fine-ish. Ish instead.
I do love how that sentence took a turn. It'll be totally fine.
Yeah,
ish,
it'll be
maybe.
fine-ish. I mean, like, it depends how fast I know off the Tony deck. No. But in Wild, like, disaster scenario, another expansion where, like, Enrage Warrior is the best Warrior deck, and no one has any interest in playing it whatsoever.
Well, and on top of not having any interest in playing it, it didn't gain a singular new card. So, like, why there wouldn't be rekindling of interest in playing it either?
No. And like Menagerie Warrior is just Enraged Warrior with a reskin. Like it's the same exact game plan, the same thing.
Yeah. All corporate, it's the same picture.
Yeah. All right. That being said, let's take a step back, big picture in general. We've seen 145 cards now at this point. What are we excited about? We'll do our predictions and everything next week, so we won't take that time now. But just in general, we've talked about all these cards. What looks good? What looks exciting? What are you excited to play?
As I said last week, Outcast Demon Hunter looking pretty sweet. I'm growing more and more excited about Corb's idea of like a mill style of questline druid. Meowth is not a big fan of that, but like it's novelty. Like maybe it's a deck that doesn't even run Guff since you need a hero power that. Wait. Does the Guff hero power start dealing extra damage with the...
I think we established no, but I don't know if it's been confirmed or not.
Right. We discussed this last week. So.
Malfurion does, but yeah.
Right. So maybe it's an interesting druid deck that doesn't run Guff. Some of the core set changes to Priest are appealing. So the Warlock cards, even if they're not strong, they're really, really interesting. Like the fatigue damage is a cool new angle, and like the movements from the symphony as well as even the Rin. I like the Rin. It's interesting. It does something a little bit unique. I mean, about half of the classes or so got like interesting stuff that probably like can do something, at least in the first 2 weeks when people are playing new cards in Wild.
God damn it. I'm going to say the line. I think it's probably a slightly below average set for Wild, which I don't know how every set is that.
I think this might be even a little bit more than slightly below average for Wild. I think that there's probably... I think in a few months, it's not unlikely that we're looking back and saying that like we're in the same spot we were before the expansion. And we're just kind of eagerly awaiting the announcement in stage 2 for the whatever the Wild changes are. That's the reality of it. A few decks got bolstered. I think more people will probably start catching on playing Outcast Demon Hunter. Maybe it'll be too good in Standard even, and probably eat a nerf. And I don't know. There's not a whole like lot of disruption, but it's the first set of the year that's kind of par for the course.
Yeah. I definitely think like Outcast DH can elevate itself into being one of the best aggro decks. Like that seems very plausible. Druid terrifying. Like there are 3 druid archetypes that I think look very solid now with Questline, just ramp druid, like Astlor combo druid, and also Mechathune alignment druid. That looks like
Dude, you brought up Ignite Mage, and you're gonna bring.
I mean,
yeah.
it's just the nature. It's the nature of the weapon fetch, right? The instrument tech is just going to be like a pretty bonkers card for a format with Twig Sphere.
Yeah. There are a few like other fringy decks that I think have upgraded, like Aggro Hunter, like the mech decks get very slightly better. But yeah, like Roffle said, the impact is probably going to be relatively low. We do have to see what the revotes are going to be, because something like Garrote Rogue, I think Garrote Rogue could be spicy, and I'm really into that with the weapon in that class. But I want to see what the changes are first. But overall, regardless of impact on Wild, the set is very, very cool, in my opinion. Like, I think this is a really cool collection of cards. It's probably my favorite one that I've seen since Stormwind. Controversial thing to say.
You really are trying really hard to get kicked off the podcast today. Like, what is going on?
I like Stormwind for standard. There was the whole incident in Wild, which I didn't love. But yeah, I actually genuinely like that expansion a lot. So yeah, I think a lot of these cards are very sweet. Mechanically and things like that, and I think the rotation should be fun. The core set changes look really good, so I think standard is going to be hopefully in a fantastic spot once they nerf Death Knight. But in Wild, we'll be waiting for Druid nerfs probably, and people will keep complaining about Big Priest. But I don't know, it's so weird in Wild because like the theory crafting doesn't really start until we know what the hell we're working with, and we just don't know for another few days.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of end the whole thing of just like you said, the flavor of the set and the themes and kind of the mechanics that we're seeing are sweet, regardless of like the power level that we're seeing. The cards look very cool, very fun to play with, and I'm gonna have a really good time the first couple of weeks while complaining that nobody else is playing new cards. But it'll be fun, right? And I'm gonna play the crap out of that Warlock spell, whether it's good or not, because that just looks like the most fun thing to do. But yeah, I'm excited for reverts. We should be getting those. We normally get them like a week before the expansion, so I'd be expecting them sometime this week. We might do a special episode, or we might just like lump them in with our predictions when we talk about reversions, depending on how free all 3 of us are. But we'll figure something out. We'll do some episodes. We'll talk about reversions. We'll talk about some theory crafting, and we'll be talking about our predictions and everything like that. I feel like if you've listened to the card review episodes, you can already kind of get all 3 of ours top 5 powerful and top 5 favorite cards just off of those. But yeah, I guess Roffle, you're gonna actually be doing some theory crafting streams, right? I know Wild's not doing anything this expansion, but you'll be playing some standard, right? So you want to sell that out real quick?
Yeah, I will be playing standard, which I've tried to build decks. I don't know how to gauge the pace of the format, nor do I have a deck builder that includes the new core set cards. So I'm kind of like guessing and checking to make sure it's going to be standard legal. But yeah, I am fortunate enough to be included in the theory crafting streams that'll be happening on Wednesday, the 5th, whatever day of the week it is. Yeah, it's the 5th at 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific on either Twitch or YouTube. I don't know yet.
All right, so I know there's going to be no Wild streams. Make sure you guys can support the Wild streamers that are out there doing that. Go support our boy Roffle. But yeah, new expansion coming. Like T-minus like 10 days by the time this episode goes live. So it'll be exciting. I'm excited to see their versions. Excited to get into the lab, right? Get into the kitchen, start cooking with, Theorycraft. This meme is never going to get old. But yeah. Excited. Hope you guys are excited for the expansion like we are. Hope you guys are excited for Twig Sphere Druid on turn 4 every game. But yeah, Roffle and Corb, hope you guys are excited. Thanks for joining me week after week. Let the people know where they can find you guys and your content.
Yeah, you can find me streaming on both Twitch and YouTube at Roffle.
And you can find me at Corbett on Twitch or Corbettgames on Twitter and YouTube.
You guys can find me at Get Me Off on all those platforms. Appreciate everybody that listens all the way to the end. Hope you guys enjoyed card review season. We're finally done. We'll see you guys again next time for some theory crafting and predictions and everything. Have a good one. We'll see you guys next time. All right. Peace.